Before history was written. Before history was written, the world was already on fire. Long before American boots ever touched European soil, cities across Europe and Asia were burning, entire armies were collapsing under relentless pressure, and millions of lives had already been lost to violence, hunger, and fear. When people say that the United States joined the Second World War late, they often forget that wars are not decided by calendars or dates, but by momentum, resources, and the ability to change the course of events once the outcome still hangs in the balance. By the time America would enter the conflict, the war had already consumed years of human suffering and destruction on a global scale. By December of 1941, the Second World War had already reshaped the planet in irreversible ways. Germany had crushed Poland, overrun France, and expanded its control across much of Europe with terrifying speed. Britain stood under constant attack, enduring nightly bombings that reduced neighborhoods, factories, and entire city blocks to rubble. In Asia, Japan had been waging war across China and the Pacific for years, expanding relentlessly and leaving destruction wherever its forces advanced. The world was not waiting for America to arrive. It was already bleeding, exhausted, and struggling to survive each new day. From across the Atlantic Ocean, the United States watched these events unfold with caution, distance, and uncertainty. The memory of the First World War was still deeply rooted in American society, and many believed that this conflict was not theirs to fight. American industry grew rapidly, factories increased production, weapons and supplies were shipped overseas, but American soldiers themselves did not cross oceans in large numbers. For many citizens, the war existed only through newspapers, radio broadcasts, photographs, and distant headlines, disconnected from daily life and personal experience. That sense of distance vanished completely on December 7, 1941. Pearl Harbor was attacked without warning. Battleships were torn apart, aircraft were destroyed before they could take off, and thousands of lives were lost in a matter of hours. In a single morning, the illusion of safety disappeared. The war was no longer something happening far away. It had reached American soil, and neutrality ended in fire, smoke, and shock that echoed across the nation. When the United States declared war, it did not enter a quiet or balanced conflict. It stepped directly into chaos. Europe was already locked in brutal combat, the Eastern Front was becoming one of the deadliest battlefields in human history, and the Pacific was turning into a vast and unforgiving war zone. The war was far from over, but its final outcome was still uncertain, fragile, and violently contested on every front. American industry soon became a weapon of its own. Factories produced ships, tanks, aircraft, ammunition, and supplies at a scale the world had never seen before. Soldiers crossed oceans and landed on hostile shores, fighting through frozen fields, burning deserts, and dense jungles. Battles such as Midway, D-Day, and the Battle of the Bulge slowly began to shift the balance of the war. Not because America joined late, but because when it joined, it committed everything it had, without hesitation or restraint. Yet war is never just about strategy, weapons, or victory. It is about fear, exhaustion, silence, and letters that were never answered. Millions would never return home. Cities could be rebuilt over time, but memories would not fade. Victory eventually came, but it came at a cost that could never truly be measured, repaid, or forgotten by those who lived through it. The United States did not enter a war that was already over. It entered a war that would define the modern world. A war that proved timing matters less than consequence. History does not remember who arrived first. It remembers who changed the ending.